My husband and his best friend had a summer of madness, and he refuses to cut her off because it's in the past, so I'll be the one to cut him out of my life. I discovered that my husband and his best friend Pokey had a sexual relationship throughout high school and multiple relationships. Apparently, it was a known secret among their friends. I met my husband Maurice in our last year of college. He comes from a small town and has had the same group of friends since childhood. I used to find it endearing. Now, I feel sick. Pokey was his childhood best friend, and he talked about her a lot before I met her. He even had a special nickname for her, Pokey. At first, I was jealous, but when I met her, she was sweet and supportive. She even gifted us our wedding cake and made a beautiful speech. Still, I always felt a bit uneasy. Maurice never talked much about his past relationships, but his friends would joke about the summer of madness. I assumed it was just high school drama, until I learned the truth. One night, I was out with my husband's friend's wife, Gertrude. She casually mentioned how she admired me for being so secure in my marriage despite the one that got away still being in the picture. When I told her I didn't understand, she assumed I knew about Pokey and Maurice. She then told me they had slept together throughout high school, cheating on every boyfriend and girlfriend they had. The summer of madness was when their group fought over whether to keep covering for them. It only ended because Pokey cut him off and went to college far away. I was furious and humiliated. I confronted Pokey, and she told Maurice. Since then, we've been fighting. He insists there's nothing between them and that I'm overreacting to something that happened 20 years ago, but I feel like I can never trust them together again. A few nights later, Maurice went to his usual game night. I asked if Pokey would be there, and he said yes. When I asked if he had seen her recently, he admitted he had coffee with friends and had lunch with her. I was upset and asked why he couldn't stay away from her for now. He told me, I can, but I'm not going to cater to your tantrum. I didn't do anything wrong. I told him I didn't want her in our life now that I knew the truth. He asked what I expected him to do, move away. He refused, saying, I'm not going to sell my grandma's house and move just because you feel insecure. Grow the F up. Furious, I stormed into our room. He went to his friends. Later that night, I found him gaming and chatting with Pokey. I asked him to come to bed and he dismissed me, saying he needed to vent frustration. I snapped, asking if he could go 10 minutes without seeing her. He didn't even look at me and just said, if you're going to make a scene, tell me now so I can turn off my mic. The next day, Joachim, one of his friends, told me that Maurice had been venting to their group about my reaction. Joachim tried to reassure me that Maurice and Pokey weren't involved, but also admitted that Maurice was emotionally dependent on her. He told me, if you want this marriage to work, learn to coexist. I asked if Maurice still loved Pokey. He said, maybe you should ask your husband. I couldn't let this go. I was spiraling. Update. After another fight, Maurice went to his mom's house. Later, I saw on his Instagram that he took his step-siblings to laser tag, dinner, and then Pokey's bakery for dessert. I was livid but resigned. When he came home, he apologized for how he acted, saying he didn't want our marriage to be like his parents. I told him I felt completely disrespected. It wasn't just about their past. It was that everyone around me knew, and no one told me. I felt like a stranger among our own friends. Then I asked him point blank, does he still love Pokey? That's when he told me the truth. Maurice admitted he had loved Pokey like crazy, to the point where, as teens, he thought about eloping with her. But during that time, his parents were going through a violent, ugly divorce. His teenage mind decided that relationships led to pain, so he refused to date Pokey, fearing that if it failed, he'd lose her forever. Then came the bombshell. Pokey got pregnant. At the time, she was single, and since they weren't using protection, it was definitely his. Maurice said he wanted the baby the moment she showed him the test. They were still trying to figure out how to tell their families when Pokey got appendicitis. The resulting inflammation caused her to miscarry. Maurice told me his worst memory was calling their mothers from the hospital while hearing Pokey sob in the other room. That miscarriage made it nearly impossible for Pokey to conceive naturally. Most of their friends don't even know. Maurice also said that was the moment he decided to be child-free. He never wanted to hear someone he loved cry like that again. After that, Pokey cut him off for a year. He missed her, not just as a lover but as his best friend. When his grandmother died, Pokey reached out, and he swore they would never cross those boundaries again. Then he said, I will always love her, but it's done. I married you. I love you. That's what should matter. I asked if he was willing to see her less for my sake. He refused. He said that after 13 years together, I should know that he doesn't cut off friends. So I told him, after 13 years, I should matter enough. I packed a bag and left to stay with my parents. I needed time, and that's where we are now. I don't know how to feel. I